Hey, Rob here. How you doing? Okay, so we got our ad campaign set up, right? And now we're going to actually create our ad group and our ads. But before we do that, I just want to do a quick review on the anatomy of the ad and keywords, especially because we're going to start adding some keywords. And Google Ads are they're really big on the two things: is your headlines, the size of your ad, and your keywords. But really, keywords and headlines are the two big deals. So we talk about the 20/80 rule, keywords and headlines. And I can't say that one's more important than the other because they work in unison. So let's just look at an ad here. So this is headline and subheadline. Actually, I think now Google calls it headline one and headline two. This is the URL, the web address. Now you can, and I'm going to show you how you can do some additional text at the end of this URL. Here's the call extension. So in other words, this is your phone number that you want them to call. This is a call out extension. So these are just some extra text that we can add. And here's like a description, the ad description. Okay, so that's the ad. But let's talk about keywords. So what are keywords? Keywords are the things that people type into the Google search. So I need a lawyer, so what Google does is they look at that phrase someone types in and they try to find something that's going to match it, right? Google lives and dies by the relevance of the search. If you type in "I need a lawyer" and dog grooming sites come up, you're going to quit using Google. So they want to try to make sure that the results they bring in the search page are as relevant to what you're looking for. And they actually are extremely good at this. They have such a great algorithm and a database, and they can look, and they're very intuitive, right? Like you start typing in, and a lot of times Google can finish your search term before you finish it. And so they're taking in all this data all the time and processing it lightning fast. So what you want to make sure is that you have set up, because we control which keywords we want our ads to show for. So we want to make sure we're picking up keywords that are going to trigger our ad, and then our ad headlines match those keywords, right? So again, like if you put in personal injury, car accident attorney, right? But let's say one of your keywords is just attorney, and someone types in "I need a divorce attorney," okay, boom, your ad shows up personal injury attorney. Well, they're not going to click on your ad because it's not what they're looking for right at that moment. Now, some people may say, well, maybe they do or maybe they also do divorce, and they'll click on your ad and ask you. But if you don't do divorce, you don't want them clicking on your ad because it's cost you money, plus the time you waste talking to them. And if you do divorce, and if you do divorce, then you want to have separate ads and separate keywords just for those. All right. So anyway, so really where I want to go at is there's different types of keywords, and we talked about this in another video, but I just want to review this. There's exact match. Now this used to be a lot more important than what it is now, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. But this means it will only show exactly for that phrase. So St. Louis attorney. If somebody types in St. Louis attorney and that's it, and we have and we have our keyword is in these brackets, so it means we only want our ad to show when this is exactly what's in there. So someone types in St. Louis attorney, boom, our ad triggers, it shows. Someone types in attorney in St. Louis, our ad will not trigger because they did two things. They reversed St. Louis and attorney, and they put an in there. Okay? So even if they put attorney St. Louis, our ad wouldn't show because it's not an exact match. Okay? So there was a time when that was really important because Google they weren't as sophisticated as they are now, and they weren't able to so like it used to be if somebody would put in St. Louis, I'm trying to think of a good example. But anyway, but let me not belabor that. This is not that important. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have them in there, but it's not life and death. The next two are really the big ones. Phrase match. And so what you do is you enter this keyword within um, quotation marks. Sorry, I went brain dead for a minute. And so it will only trigger, your ad will trigger if that exact phrase is somewhere in the search bar, okay? So they can have words before and after that phrase, but that phrase has to match exactly. So again, the example is St. Louis attorney, right? And if somebody types in, I need a St. Louis attorney, the ad will trigger, okay? Whereas in the exact match, it wouldn't because they added in here, I need a. Now, if someone puts in, I need an attorney in St. Louis, the ad theoretically will not trigger because this doesn't exactly match our phrase, St. Louis attorney. Now, Google's getting a little more lenient on this, so sometimes it does show because they're getting better now at determining the intent of the search. So there is a good shot that this might go ahead and trigger our ad, even though it's not an exact phrase match. All right. This last one, broad modified. So this is really a good one to do. Okay, so this will trigger if every word with a plus sign that's next to it is typed in the search bar. They can be in any order just as long as the words are typed somewhere in the search bar. So in this case, we can put attorney in St. Louis, all right? So if someone puts best attorney who is in the St. Louis area, then that would trigger our ad. If somebody puts in best lawyer who is in the St. Louis area, should not trigger our ad because they used lawyer instead of attorney. But again, Google's getting a little bit smarter and they realize, well, attorney and lawyer are effectively the same thing. So they're getting a little bit better at doing this, but you want to hedge your bets. And really, like, if you're looking for personal injury, then the best thing is to add injury to this because they could be looking for an estate attorney, a tax attorney. These may be things that you don't want to do, right? And so your ads are going to come up if they put, I need a state attorney in St. Louis, okay, because attorney in St. Louis winner. So you want to add one more qualifier, right? And you probably don't even need St. Louis because you've already determined geographically. Remember, we said we want to show it within a radius around our address or a county or a zip code. So St. Louis isn't so important anymore. But attorney and maybe injury, maybe accident, so that these are the key phrases that you want to trigger ad. All right. So now that you got that in mind, let's go ahead and add our ad. So we've got our campaign set up. So next thing we want to do is we want to do an ad group. Okay. So the ad group, right, is kind of the general theme or the keywords that we're going to do. So let's say we're going to do one ad group on injury. So we're going to call this, we'll just say injury keywords. All right. Now, default bid. Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. Personal injury lawyers, very competitive. You're probably going to have to spend some money. I would start, and it's going to vary from area to area, like, Chicago, New York, LA, those are going to be hyper competitive. Miami, hyper competitive. You get into smaller cities, more rural areas, it's not going to be as competitive. So it's one of those things you have to figure out per your area. Here's the deal with the bid, right? It's always better, this may sound scary or counterintuitive, it's always better to start with a higher bid and work down. And what this means is Google will not charge you your maximum if they can charge you less. And I don't really know how their auction thing works, but it's amazing. So like if I put in $50 for my default bid, that means that's the most I will pay. But if I'm going against like two other attorneys and they're maxing out at 25, then I'll get it for like $25.10 or something. Okay. So they're not going to charge me to 50. They're just going to go high enough to get me that spot until I hit my maximum offer. I would start at least at 25, and you can always change this later. Now you could go the other way. You could start low and start working your way up. You could start at 10 and start working it up. But it's generally better to start higher, monitor it. You got your daily budget, right? So if I do 25, and let's say I set my daily budget at $50, I'm not going to spend, I could spend theoretically $100 in one day because Google will double your daily budget. Remember, they just won't do it in over a month's time. So if I put $50 a day, they're saying that's 1,500. I'm willing to spend $1,500 in 1 month, and they will sometimes double my budget in 1 day. So anyway, so you can control what you spend with your daily budget, and then your default bid. Like I say, it's always better to kind of start high and then work it down. And we'll go into that in another video when we start getting into strategy and ads that convert, and how to maximize your return. So right now we're just going to leave this at 50. Now we want to put in our keywords. Okay. So again, so let's put injury attorney, right? I'm sorry. Yeah, this is our injury thing. So we're going to put injury attorney in a key phrase, and then let's put injury and plus attorney. And then maybe what we want to do is put injury lawyer. And then we're just going to do a broad match again. Injury lawyer. And then let's say we're going to do car injury lawyer. Just come up with some ideas here. And then again, let's just do car injury lawyer. Oops, okay. Now, also what you can do over here is you can get ideas from Google. So what you do is you can pull. So like if I do a search, I don't think I closed it out, but okay, so I did a search for personal injury attorneys in St. Louis, and this one firm came up, and they do a ton of advertising in the St. Louis area. So I'm going to pull their website here, their URL. I'm going to go back into Google, and I'm going to put in their website, and then I'm going to put personal injury in here and see what comes up. And then Google's going to give me some suggestions on what they think. So injury lawyer, you think we have that? Yes. Personal injury lawyer, that one we could add if we wanted. And if we want to, we just pop it over here. Now, what we want, now you see how they have it? This is going to cost you a ton of money. You want to put it in a phrase match, and then let's just do it again as a broad phrase match. Okay, so then what we're going to do is just add some plus signs here. Now, I will tell you what we have here is we have injury lawyer. So if somebody types in personal injury lawyer, we're still going to pick up because we have injury lawyer here. And we have this, again, in a broad phrase match. But again, because we have injury and lawyer in a broad phrase match, we would pick up with this one anyway. So we haven't gained a whole lot by adding those. But anyway, this is just a way, if you want to pick up some ideas, this is a way to do it. All right. So we have that. So now let's go ahead and create a second ad group. And so we're just going to go down here. It says new ad group. Okay. And we're going to call this ad group accident, right? The first one was injury keywords, and we'll call this accident keywords. All right. And so then let's go back and let's pop this URL in again, and we'll just pull up some ideas. And let's put accident, can't spell, lawyer, and see if they will give us some new ideas here. So injury lawyer, personal injury lawyer, here we are, car accident attorney. So let's pop this over here, and then let's actually, whoops, we're going to put it twice, right? And then we're going to do a phrase match. Boom, and then we will do a broad modified match. Okay, so accident attorney, we could do that. Let's see, what else we have? Oh, car wreck attorney, personal injury, truck accident attorney, maybe. Let's pop that over there. And then let's go ahead and copy. And we'll do again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put our phrase here. Right, and we're going to put our phrase here, and then we will do our broad modified match. Boom, boom, boom. Now notice we have to set another default bid here, okay? So we're going to set this at 25 again, all right? Let's see. And so that kind of gives us here. So you get the idea. Now, you don't need to go crazy. Don't come up with everything under the sun, because as your ad runs, I'm going to show you how Google's going to start telling you different things you maybe want to try. Okay, so now we've got our two ad groups. If you want to add another one, maybe you want to do one for lawyers and one for attorneys, or whatever. But let's just stop with this. And so let's hit save and continue. And we're going to actually now go to this next number 3, right? 1, select campaign settings. 2, set up ad groups. 3, create ads. Okay, so it's telling us this is for the ad group injury keywords. So we want our ads to kind of be aligned with that. So let me see. I think I've got. Okay, so what I'm going to say. Okay, so we have the final URL. So that means where are we going to send it to? So I'm going to come over to the website that I'm going to send it to, and I'm just going to copy that URL, and then I'm just going to pop it right in there, right? I don't have to have the HTTPS twice, so we'll do that. Okay. Now, headline 1. Now remember, again, so we're looking for, we're doing injury. So I'm going to pull something like this. And so for headline 1, and it tells us here we're allowed 30 characters. So we pop that with 23. Okay, now headline 2. Let's just say here. Oops, headline 2. Boom. See if your case makes sense. And then we can do a headline 3. So let's do something like this. Actually, the only thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pop this down here. And I'm going to put this up here. Yeah, Google keeps playing with this, just like Facebook. So we got experience. And what I may do is go ahead and put this caps here. And so this is good. Okay, so now we can see. So it starts giving us a what the ad's going to look like. So we have St. Louis injury lawyer, experienced in car accidents. See if your case makes sense. Okay. Let's see. What do we got? 28. So we only have 2 more. So we're pretty much have used up everything we can. So that's all cool. Now we can also change the preview, and this is what it'll look like on a desktop. Okay, so St. Louis lawyer experience in car accidents. So we only get 2 headlines on the desktop, but we get the 3rd one on a mobile. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is go to display path. Okay, so now we can put in some things to at the end of this URL. All right. So now this is just a website that I've hooked up to this ad. You want your URL to be something that relates to, generally this would be if it's going to be like your company, it would be Malone Law Firm or something, or St. Louis Lawyer Inc. whatever. Habanero Research Corp is a horrible website address for this ad. Okay, so I just want you to understand. Make sure that whatever you have set up. If you're using ClickFunnels, if you're using Lead Pages or Weebly or whatever, whatever you're using for your landing page that you're going to go to, make sure that URL is relevant somehow to personal injury attorneys, lawsuits, whatever. Okay, so now what we want to do, so path one, so let's just put 5-star law firm. Can we get that in there? Yep, 15. And let's go let's see. I don't know if we'll fit this in car. And we can make this for car injury pros. Okay. So yeah. Then now our descriptions. Okay. So maybe what we want to do is, and we have more room with the descriptions, right? We got 90 characters. Okay. So we handle everything. We make it easy on you, so there is no stress. All right. And then let's say we do something like, lawyers can be scary. Lawyers can be scary. We get it, and we make it, I will just say easy on you to get your to get fully compensated. Okay, so something like that. Okay, so URL options, we're not going to really worry about. Nothing there. I'm trying to think, is there anything else we need to do? So that's what it's going to look like on a mobile ad. And down here, so here's our call extension, right? Remember we said we had the phone number when we set up our call extension. And so they can, on a mobile, they can just tap on this number and it'll call straight through. You actually see Google says new and new here. So this is, I'm not sure when I added it, but it's been recently. So let's see what it looks like on a desktop. So desktop is, this. St. Louis injury lawyer experiencing car accidents. We handle everything, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that all looks good. Okay, so then let's go ahead and do one for our, well, no, I tell you what, let's go ahead and just finish this one up. So that's done. And now, okay, so now let's go down here to our injury, right, our accident. Okay, and so what we want to do is the final URL is going to be the same one. We don't have a separate website, but you could. You could, if you get really sophisticated. And let's pop it in here. And again, I don't need the duplication of HTTPS. And, okay, so let's come up with some headlines for accidents. So we're going to put something like this. Let's see if this headline will fit. Okay, and you see how this turned red? It's telling us this is too long, right? It's 44, all we have is 30. So then let's change this to something that's shorter. Boom. Okay. Need a, let's say good lawyer, right? Why not? Need a good lawyer. Well, let's do, no, that's fine. Need a good lawyer. And then let's just say something like, No, this will fit. Fact. And up, we're just a little over. You deserve let's do max compensation. Okay? And then we can change these to all caps. Not all caps, but capitalized. Google does not like all caps. They generally will not approve it. Sometimes you can sneak it by. Um, but typically, if you do something in all caps, they will disapprove that ad. But they will let you capitalize every first thing. Okay, so let's put, let's see. Let's just put 5-star law firm. Wait, I did that again. Law firm. And then let's put St. Louis. Can we fit lawyer in there? Nope. I tell you what, if we get rid of that period, we probably can. St. Louis lawyer. Boom. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. And then maybe we'll do something like this on our description. We still have a lot of words left, so you could you could put more in there if you want. Okay, and let's see. So got our call extension, and it's hard to see, but down. If you remember, we did call out extensions, and it's in the gray area down there. So let's see. That's what it looks like in a mobile ad, and then let's see what it looks like here. Perfect, perfect, perfect. That looks all good. Okay, so let's put done. Now, what we can do is we can either create a whole new ad, or what I'm going to suggest is you just click this and it will copy the ad. All right. So everything is already filled out, but play with the first, you can play with all three headlines, but I'd start with just playing with the two first headlines. So we got St. Charles. So remember now, this is in injury. So we're just gonna let's just do this. Let's just change this. Yep, let's do this. I take it back. I'm gonna put that there. Injured in a car accident. Experienced best injury attorney. Call now. Oh, and we got to fit in there. And then see if your case makes sense. That's fine. All right. And so, like I say, the two big things, right, are the headlines and the keywords. So set up at least two ads so that you can done so that you can see later as they're running which one does better, and then start changing your headlines, right? And just kind of like we did in Facebook or we did A/B testing, you're going to do the same thing, and it's going to be little bitty changes. Sometimes, like at first, try something radically different, okay? And you'll start seeing some that one will start performing, and so you have A as the winner. So now you replace B, and you just keep replacing B till it becomes the winner. Then you start replacing A till it becomes the winner. All right, and you start moving up the chain. So once you start getting a pretty good ad, and again in Google, you're still probably talking about if you get a 5% click through rate. If about 5% of people are clicking your ads, that's not too bad. And so if you're at 1 or 2%, you just start playing so you start getting to 5 or above. And a lot of this can also have to do with your bids, and we'll explain that in another video when we talk about Google Ads that convert strategies. That so we're just going to do the same thing here, and we're going to create a new ad. And so let's see. Let's do this. This is our accident keywords. So let's try. I don't know if this will fit in here, but let's see. We're going to be pretty close. Nope. So let's do this. Okay. Let's get rid of that, and let's put here, do you, I like questions as headlines, because people tend to answer them, right? And so, 5-star accident lawyer. You deserve maximum compensation. That's fine. And just leave everything else the same, right? And so now we can done. Okay. And so now we got 2 ads. We got 2 ad groups, 2 ads that we can play with. Okay. So now we're going to hit save and continue. There we are. And confirmation. Okay. November 14th. That's fine. No end date. The geographic area is, this address. English, no goal selected, 2 ad groups, 12 keywords, 4 ads, and give his hands. Okay, and we're going to continue the campaign. And boom. Now, it says our account's been canceled. I'm sorry, that's just because this is a really old account. I even forgot I had it. Okay, but what we're going to have to do, I'm not going to worry about reactivating. What we're going to do is set up billing. So generally what you would have at this point, you would have a thing that says, hey, your ads aren't running because you haven't set up any billing. So, and it'll just be, they'll say something here, fix it. You can just click on the fix it, and it'll take you to billing. Or you can go up here to tools, and you can go to billings and payments. And payment setup. Okay, it's not going to let me because my thing's inactive, but they just take you through step by step on how to do it. It's not hard to do. If you're doing things for other people, it gets a little tricky when you're using someone else's credit card. But as long as you're using a credit card that's under your name, right, then you're fine when you set up your billing profile and all that. So, let's see if it'll let me reactivate it. Okay, we don't really need to go through all this. So anyway, but that's it. So you have to set up your billing after you have your ads all done, and then they'll start running live. So that's pretty much it on getting your Google campaign up and running and getting your ads running. So I think that's it for this series of videos. From here, after you get everything up and running, what I'm going to suggest, if you want, you can pause it after you get up running, but just go ahead and, let it run for a while. But then go to the, how to create Google ads that convert. It's training. And then we'll go through some of the nuances of how to really start ramping up your campaign and getting results and some strategies and targeting and things like that. So, yeah. It's pretty easy. I hope you think it's easy. I know it's a lot of new stuff and it maybe seems complicated, but trust me, as you start doing it, and just watch the videos, pause it, do it, watch a video, pause it, do it, step by step, go through it. It's all pretty easy. So that's it. Hey, catch you on the flip side and go crush it.